Hey guys, what's up and all that stuff? Been into it again during the week. Got the 260Z bottom end all assembled. So let's go have a look. Hey, hang on, give me a second. I'll take that head off so you can see. As you can see, all of the pistons are in and it spins nice and freely. You don't have to see that, you can take my word for that. But followed all the procedures as I did with the crank bearings. I only destroyed one bearing. It was lucky that I was doing the clearances, otherwise I wouldn't have seen it. But it was the very first conrod bearing that I put in. There must have been a bit of dirt on me or my tools I was using, and it fell onto the journal as I was putting the cap on. And of course that little grain of sand embedded itself into the bearing, which is enough to destroy it. So that one went in the bin and I ordered a new set. It's lucky they're not too expensive. But yeah, bottom end's all assembled. So that means I can move on to the head. Excuse me, I'm a bit croaky this morning, and no, it's not coronavirus. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take off all the sharp edges around the edges of the valve seats. So I'm going to put some new valves in so I don't accidentally nick the valve seats because they're brand new. Round off all the edges and I'll give them a good polish up so they're all nice and shiny. And inside the actual ports, I'm going to take some off around the actual valve seats and just give them a general tidy up, get rid of all the bad casting marks and stuff like that. So I'm not going to go too serious, and I am going to have a practice on one of my spare heads so I don't destroy my good one by just diving in head first, because it could cost me money. And I don't want to, excuse me, I don't want to do that. So anyway, that was during the week. So now it's time to get the 240Z out, pull the quarter panel off and fix some rust. Richard, it's your new windscreen. I was at work all last week. I was too lazy to bring it home. So I actually had it during last video, but there it is in there. I'm going to leave it in there for as long as I can because it's safe, even though it's a big bulky box that's taking up room in my shed. Did a bit of, geez, that's a sexy beast. Did a bit of work on the SU carbs on it during the week. One of the slides wasn't seating properly. The guide at the bottom was a little bit off center. So I fixed that up and it's going quite well. Anyway, don't look at that. Don't look at it. I'm going to sandblast that, that's nothing. This is a bit, it looks worse than what it is. The outer skin is knackered, buggered, stuffed, whatever you want to call it. That's all Australian slang, by the way. But yeah, you got this part here, which is thicker metal. There's sort of a brace that goes around the edge of the window. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the outer skin off and I'm going to clean up the thicker metal so it's nice and bright again. Might involve a little bit of blasting, hopefully not too much, because I don't like blasting. I just had to duck out and do an errand for a minute. I took the 260Z. I think the SUs are going to need to come off and have a kit put through them or something. It's they were running really good. I was a bit surprised that they've been sitting on the shelf for years and years, and then I put them straight on the car without even touching them, and they were running so good. I think they might have freed themselves up a bit, and now they're running very rich. If it idles for more than a minute, it starts fouling up plugs. I don't really think I've got the energy to pull them apart and play with them, seeing that they're not going to stay on the car for very long. So I'm going to have to pull my finger out on the 240Z so I can get some cash and buy myself some triples so I can put the L28 in, because that's the one I want to spend the time on. There you go, there's no rust there now. It's a bit pitted, but that doesn't matter. That's quite thick metal. So just got to make a little plate to put in over the top there. First got to hit it with some weld-through primer so it doesn't rust again. I also blasted all the rest of the rusty patches off. As you can see, it's all looking nice and clean now. So, yeah, get into that. Also, I couldn't help myself, I just had to have a little go on my spare head of rounding off the sharp edges. I don't know whether you can pick this up. Yeah, I think you can. See how it's got sharp edges there? And up there, just on the bit, that bit. I rounded them off. Didn't take very long at all. So I'm not going to polish this one. I'm confident that I can do that 6 times on my good head without doing any damage, because that was quite easy. And then I'll polish it up so it's nice and shiny. I was going to have a go on a port as well, but my carbide burr is not long enough, and that one's not actually one designed for alloy either, so I went pretty light so it didn't clog up. So yeah, head porting, fun and games. There you go guys, that's much better than rust. Very pretty. So next is a couple of dents here that I've got to get out before it's ready to go back on, and this one back here. So that's next on the list. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to spray some of that copper spray over this dent so I can see it. As I said, I put some weld-through primer over the dent so I can see it after I filed it. Now it shows up. For dents that aren't too big, what I've got is a spring punch, which I got from the hardware store, local hardware store. And I just get up underneath the dent there and I, sorry guys. And I work it up with the spring punch. And it'll slowly come out. Didn't make a lot of difference to the filing, but tripping over everything here, guys. So if you keep working it around the edge, it'll eventually come out. It's a little bit higher there. Coming from this way. Bit at a time. Hang on a minute. 1 minute. Just to speed the process up a bit, I've got a bumping dolly. I'm just got to bump it up a bit. I don't want to create a high spot though. I'll finish it off with the spring punch, but yeah, I'll bump it up. Sorry guys, I lost some video because I didn't realise my memory was full. As you can see, I've finished metal finishing that bit there. I've also done that bit under there. And I've fixed this corner here. So next week I'll be able to move on to this part here and fix that bit under there that needs a shrink so I can get that bit fitting right. I'll tack screw that on. That's ready to weld on. And then I'll move on to the roof. Should be able to get a start on the roof next week because the rear beaver shouldn't take too long. Start by fixing these rust bits in the corner. Now, as far as metal finishing goes, I try to give people an option on whether they want stuff metal finished or not. It costs a lot of money to metal finish because there's a lot of hours in doing that stuff. Plus, this metal's only 0.8 of a millimetre thick, so it's not very thick. So you start filing metal out of it and it gets thin pretty quick. There's absolutely nothing wrong with a little bit of body filler. In fact, I'd probably, myself personally, I would rather have a 1 millimetre thick skim of bog than have my metal thin, because it makes it weak, and people can come up and lean on your car. When your metal thin, it's easier to dent. I didn't go too hard on that. It's not perfectly metal finished because I didn't want to make it too thin. I'll see if it needs a skim of filler after I've rubbed down the epoxy primer. If it does, I'll put some in it. If not, doesn't matter. It's still got to have high fill primer after that. I'm really tired, so I'm going to call it a day and come back to you next week with what I said I'm going to do. Be great if you could subscribe, hit the like and all that stuff. The more people who like or dislike my videos, the better, because that bumps me up and more people can see them. The more people can see them, the better off I am. I'd love to monetize one day. If I monetize, I'll put all the money I make from my videos back into the videos to make them more interesting for you guys to see, because at the moment they're pretty boring. Anyway guys, have a good one. I'll see you next time.